What's up, movie nerds and basketball geeks? Welcome back to Movie Ball. I guess this me talking right now is currently my witty opening line. I don't have one. I'm not prepared. This is it. Let's just move on to that next part. On today's episode, well, it's a little more than just a movie review. Obviously, the title says I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If it was just a movie review, the title would say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie review. And I'd like to say it's a little more than just a movie review because I'm going to go a little more in depth with it than I would with a traditional movie review. What's the next thing? What's in my notes? Oh my god, I can't find the part. Oh my god, should I just put this in the video? But with that being said, I'm not trying to be some narcissistic jerk that just gets on here and curses at the heavens. Why you? I'm just trying to share my viewpoint and why I didn't like the movie. A movie that I wish I loved, I wanted to love, and didn't love. But I'm not going to shit on the mass majority of people that did love it. If you love a movie, that's great. Usually if a movie is universally acclaimed and I didn't like it, well, then obviously I'm the one that's quote-unquote wrong, but no one's ever wrong when it comes to film. That's the beauty of it. It's all subjective. You can like what you like, love what you love, and hate what you hate. It just has to be done respectfully. That will never happen. But I'm not trying to say that like 90% of the world is wrong for adoring this movie. I'm just trying to showcase my opinions on that and why I felt that way. Because I just feel like that makes for a good discussion about movies, and that's what my channel is all about. Half of it. The other half is basketball. It's movie ball, movies and basketball. But at the end of the day, I didn't like this movie. I actually hated it. And I didn't want to put that in the title because I didn't want to make it seem like all the things I was just previously saying, like I'm just trying to get people to side with me and convince others that they're wrong. Now that I beat you over the head with that, there will be no spoilers for this video. If I were to ever talk about spoilers in any video about anything of any kind, I would put it in the title or I would let you know before I started talking about them. I'm not just going to start talking about big shit that happens willy-nilly. That's an actual word. Like, if you look up synonyms for it, like, shit will come up. You know, like, haphazardly. And what were the other words I wrote down in my notes? Unsystematic. Arbitrary. So why did I hate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? It has some of the best actors in the world, a first-rate director, and an initial synopsis that is very fascinating. An aging actor and his stunt double journey through the film industry in the final moments of Hollywood's golden age. Anyone that was excited for the 9th film from Quentin Tarantino also knew that this movie was supposed to be involved or at least cross paths with the Manson family murders. And they didn't really do a good job at hiding that or trying to keep it a secret whether they were trying to or not because they cast Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, which was kind of a clear indicator. I was astronomically excited for this film, and I wouldn't call myself a Quentin Tarantino fanboy either. I've never even seen Pulp Fiction, or Kill Bill Volume 2, and I've only seen parts of Reservoir Dogs. Saying that fast it's pretty hard. Reservoir Dogs. Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs. I don't know, I'm stupid. However, I have seen Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained, a movie I liked and a movie I loved, with Django Unchained being one of my favorite movies of all time. So I was definitely aware of Tarantino's style and direction while heading into this film, and that did excite me. Let's start with the positives. When it comes to literal filmmaking and all of the behind-the-scenes work that is done to help bring a story to life, the movie succeeds. On all accounts. It's gorgeously shot. It feels like the 1960s. The costume design is all there. All of that shit, etc., etc. It's all seamless in that regard. And when it comes to the main performance and Leonardo DiCaprio, he's really good. He's Leonardo DiCaprio. He'll never be bad. You see movies to see Leo act. He's gonna do his thing. And that's where the positives end. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one of the most boring and self-indulgent movies I have ever seen in my life. It's hard to find a place to start when talking about this movie because of all the problems I had with it, so sorry if things seem pretty messy and scattered, but it only seems right to talk about this movie in such an unorganized fashion because that's exactly what the movie is the whole way through. Disordered and unclear. The first 20 minutes or so, I was invested because the movie's starting and you've got to give any movie time to let it movie. Every movie has its foot on the gas, and whether it starts at 2 miles an hour or 95 miles an hour, it should eventually accelerate. So I'm patiently waiting, and even at 40 minutes in, I'm giving the movie the benefit of the doubt and going, okay, eventually at some point, these overlong and interconnected sequences are all going to come together. And they never really do. And some people might argue that eventually it does, and I can't agree, but if I had to say that it did, I would say that it did it very, 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 very sloppily. Nothing is happening in this movie of any importance of any kind. The plotline is accurate enough by description, but there's never actually a plotline. If you consider Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt driving, sitting, standing, or walking around for 2 hours and 45 minutes a plotline, then you've got yourself a plotline. The thing is, I'm really only exaggerating a little bit. Of course, that isn't the whole movie, but would you believe me if I said it was 2 hours and 15 minutes of it? One of the worst parts about this whole thing to me is that Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt hardly interact together. They barely ever share screen time. And this is like a major, glaring hole to me that no one else ever seems to be mentioning because they enjoyed the movie well enough and it didn't matter and whatever. This is why I came to the movie. I'm sold on a duo of Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. That is star power if I've ever heard it. And they're going to riff off of each other and they're going to be such a great duo. And they're off doing their own thing for 2/3 of the movie at least. Leo is good. I said that and I believe it, but I don't think he was amazing or anything. That doesn't discredit his performance at all, but this is like a more subdued version of Jordan Belfort. So for Leo in this movie, it just didn't really seem like an innovative performance. Of course, like I said, he's still good. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. Brad Pitt was fine. He wasn't bad. He's Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt was playing Brad Pitt. That's all it ever seemed like to me. I was never impressed with his performance, and the same thing goes for Margot Robbie. These are great actors that just seem to be playing themselves. Margot is supposed to be Sharon Tate, but she's never fleshed out at all in the movie. There's nothing for her to do. She doesn't do anything. She does nothing in the movie. It just seems like Margot Robbie was there. She's hot. I'm watching, but she has nothing to do other than obnoxiously let the audience know that something in some way is going to happen with the Manson family murders. And all the other actors, whoever the fuck else, I mean, they're all good, they're fine, but they're the supporting cast. I'm talking about the top billed cast. The star power of this film is what Tarantino was going for, and that's what it really seems like with his directing notes towards the actors. Use your star power and just use it. It just seems to me that if a less powerful director and B-listers were headlining this material, that the Rotten Tomatoes score, the Letterboxd rating, the Metacritic numbers, all that shit, it would all drop significantly. And maybe I'm just being petty, right? Because I didn't like the movie. And like I said, I'm not trying to discredit the beliefs that other people have about this movie. I'm not trying to prove that they're wrong, and I'm not trying to convert people to see what I see. I just think it's a topic worth discussing because I feel like people generally wouldn't feel the same way about the movie if it was this way. And of course, anything will be better with a better director and amazing actors. Of course, those things are going to help improve a film. Who wouldn't want that? But I just wonder, is it enough to the point that an actual cohesive narrative and structural integrity no longer matter? I've heard a lot of people call this movie a hangout movie, and it's just really interesting to me because I've never heard that term before. I started watching a lot of reviews and reading comments on this movie, and it was something I started to see a lot, and then I found out that Tarantino called this movie that himself. And now, everywhere I turn, it seems that people are saying, if you were expecting something else, it's just a hangout movie. And I don't fucking get it. Where's this energy for the Grown Ups franchise, or Anchorman 2, or any other dumb comedy for that matter? Sure, it's one thing if the movie didn't make you laugh, but the main objective of a comedy doesn't necessarily need a plotline, and usually doesn't wind up being almost 3 hours long. So it just kind of grinds my gears a little bit when people call those movies lazy and repetitive, when that's exactly what this movie was. At least those movies are usually short, to the point, and aren't totally full of themselves. To me, Tarantino's mindset going into this film was, I'm one of Hollywood's biggest directors and I'm going to get the best actors in the world and I can do whatever I want because it has my name on it and I won't cut anything and everybody will love it because it has my name on it and I'm Quentin Tarantino and I don't have to edit anything out and I can do whatever I want because I am a huge director that can sell a film and I can do whatever I want because it has my name on it. Also, it's a hangout movie. And he was right. I mean, people adore this movie, and I'm not criticizing you for that. I think it's crazy that, to me, this movie is so consistently boring and lethargic that it doesn't justify any reason for it to be so goddamn long. The only reason it's so long is because Quentin Tarantino is the director that helmed it. The first 140 minutes are so goddamn slow. And everything that occurs within the film just dilly-dallies around this shoestring of a plot. It's safe to say I checked out at the hour mark, which is pretty good considering that's a lot of time to give a movie to win you over. But then I realized there were 2 hours left of this movie. Then around the 140-minute mark, the film picks up. And that made things so much worse. Out of nowhere, time is sped up and out-of-place narration suddenly consumes the next 10 minutes with exposition. We now have a narrator that was never once introduced in the last 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it completely bombards all of that slow, nothing is even happening bullshit with this unpleasant and awkward time jump that's being exposited to us by some no-name narrator. And that really just infuriated me. That's not how you make movies. At least that's not how you make them well. It was really like a 6th grader was writing a script and they don't know storytelling mechanics that well, so they figured narration and blatant exposition is the best way to progress a film. Now, most people I talk to generally liked the film. But then there's a lot of people that thought the movie was okay, but they loved the ending. I could not enjoy the ending. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. I'm not going to get into what happens, but it was just like the loosest knot that's ever been tied in existence, trying to hold together two things that just completely don't associate with each other. It was just so lazy, and when it gets to the end, and I'm just sitting there like, what? That's what we waited 2 hours and 45 minutes for? We waited 2 hours and 45 minutes for that? And when I say we, I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess the audience, but the audience mostly loved the movie. And I can see why, to an extent. There's really cool potential layered throughout this entire film. The synopsis, the idea, the whole thing, all that shit. It just really could come together to make for something really cool. But unfortunately, I just feel like it was squandered. It was a squandered opportunity that's just wasted on such a random ending. I can understand to an extent why people like this movie. It has this kind of swagger to it, you know, even in all of its pretentiousness, Quentin Tarantino has kind of carved out this cool vibe that goes on throughout the film. And maybe I was harsher on it because I had such high expectations for it and I was ultimately disappointed, but there were so many more people that had such unfathomable expectations for this film, and it clearly delivered for the majority of fans. I would love to have a real conversation about why people really dug this movie and try to be more open about why they perceived it that way. I don't think I can ever really be persuaded that it's a good movie, but I just love discussing these kinds of things. I don't have any energy or want to revisit this movie again anytime soon, but I do think that it does deserve a rewatch at some point. Watching it again with lowered expectations and just kind of a better sense of the whole thing, I could perhaps enjoy it a little bit more for what it is. For now, though, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a lengthy and grueling experience that is lazily, sloppily, and almost amateurishly made. It wants to be this expertly connected extravaganza with a breathtaking climax, but the end result just feels like a forced and meaningless culmination. And that's why I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm going to give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a 3 out of 10. Rant over. Video complete. Like button smashed. Dude, like, learn karate. Like, sign up for some local karate courses or jiu-jitsu classes, taekwondo. You're going to start off at that white belt. You're going to go white, and then I think it goes to green. I have no idea. And you're eventually going to get all the way to black belt. You're going to become a master of you step into my YouTube channel. That's your dojo, and you're gonna bow to the like button because it's a worthy adversary, and it's just, it's the nice thing to do. It's respectful. But then you're gonna karate chop it so goddamn hard you're not gonna know what to do with it. Karate chop that like button. Treat it like one of those planks that the senseis have. They hold up and you hit it and it breaks. Oh, black belt that bitch. I messed up so many times doing this video. I was getting mad.